Good evening, VV Nation. My name is Ryan. Welcome to the channel. If this is your first time, definitely welcome. Hit that subscribe button if you like the content, if you find it informative. We're always just trying to put you on the right side of the market in under 10 minutes. Now, tonight's presentation, we're seeing a big hit in semiconductors this morning. I'm not going to touch base on that this evening. That's going to be tomorrow's 6 p.m. video, so definitely check that out. Tonight's presentation, I was looking at the major indices here, and I'm seeing a very interesting pattern. So we're going to take a look at those major indices, and we're going to see exactly what industries are moving the most right now. Now, other than gold, I'm not too bullish on the market right now, especially with the MTI at 1.5. The market's getting a little top heavy right now, but we're going to take a look at these indices and see where there are opportunities still in the market. Now, if this is something that you're interested in, stick around and let's get started. All right, now that we're in the VectorVest 7 software, you can see the only winner today being the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Then NASDAQ taking a big hit today, down 2.5% almost. And if we look at the color guard, this is what we're going to focus on here. We see from July 10th to July 16th, a lot of momentum to the upside here. We see the green lights clearly in the price column. And if you're new, this looks at the VectorVest composite. This tracks our broad market. We're looking at over 9,000 stocks. It just gives a better overall representation of the broad market itself. Now, if we take a look, we do see some stars here. That means this momentum was confirmed by RT Kicker combo timing system. So that just means there was a big jump in the market over this time period. So this is exactly what we're going to focus on in tonight's presentation. But I always like to give, both sides of the story, as even though the market has been on a tear lately, we see the MTI at 1.51. Historically speaking, between 1.5 and 1.6, this is when the market starts to look for a top. And we're seeing 3 yellow lights across the board right now, so we're advocating caution. That's one of the reasons why I'm not, pushing some stocks this evening on you. Really just want to get you on the right side of the market and see where the money is moving. First chart up, we got the Qs here. The reason why I utilize the Qs, the NASDAQ 100, these are some of the biggest names around. We got NVIDIA, SMCI was added to the list, AMD. So a lot of semiconductor stocks within the NASDAQ 100. So if you're holding semiconductors, I usually watch the Qs just to get a sense of, direction within the industry or the tech space in general. Now, that being said, yesterday I did do a short here. We do see price consolidating here. Pretty tight narrowing range over the last few trading sessions. Wedge pattern forming. I did mention yesterday, the bottom wick here was below the bottom of this trend line. Thus, the price action was giving me inclination of it breaking to the downside. Now, I did get lucky in that call because we got a big gap down this morning. The 3 crossed below the 8, and we're actually currently below the 20-day exponential moving average. Anytime price action gets below the 20-day in the Qs, I usually get a little bit more defensive in my tech positions, at least not opening any new positions at this time. Just depending on whether you're swing trading or long-term positions will determine if you really need to start protecting your portfolio. Next up, we've got the VVC. As I mentioned earlier, this is how we track the broad market. It's over 9,000 stocks combined. It's like taking the Dow Jones, the NASDAQ, the S&P, the Russell, combining it all into one. We did get some consolidation here, but as soon as we broke out to the upside, you can see the bulls were clearly off to the races. The VectorVest composite hitting a high yesterday at $69.45. This momentum to the upside here, this is what we saw in the color guard, and this is what we're going to be talking about this evening. Now we're looking at the SPX for the S&P 500. You see the 3 converging closer to the 8, but price action still above this trend line here, still above the 20-day exponential moving average. So I'd be a little cautious just because the 3 is crossing below the 8 and the MTI is so high. We've been in a big run here. Protecting profits, never a bad idea. But that being said, really, not too concerned right now. If price action breaks below this trend line, definitely would heed that as a major warning and start getting defensive if you have positions within the SP 500. All right, now some of you may have guessed exactly where I was trying to lead to, and that is the Russell 2000. Just like the VectorVest composite here, we saw a little bit of consolidation, pretty range bound of trading, but as soon as price action got back above that 20-day exponential moving average, 3 above the 8, it was off to the races. So that being said, with inflation data coming out last week, interest rate decisions or interest rate cuts potentially happening later this year, we're seeing a market rotation from some of the big tech names. That money looks like it's going to the Russell 2000. So that's going to lead us into tonight's presentation. I'm going to show you exactly which industries have taken off the most over the last few trading sessions. And on top of that, I'm going to show you the top Russell 2000 picks within the VectorVest 7 button software. We've migrated over to the Unisearch part of the program. We're currently at Delta Searches Industries, looking at the 5-day RT Delta. Now, RT just looks at the short-term price trend of an industry or a stock. It looks at the magnitude. So we're looking at the industries that have essentially increased in magnitude to the upside the most over the last 5 days. And we're seeing, look at this. At the top of the list, we've got building, mobile, RV, machinery, construction, mining, building, residential, commercial, transportation, retail, home furnishing, auto and truck, the tires industry. For home, we've got appliances and miscellaneous wares, metal products, and financial. Oh, crypto stocks made it in the top of the list. I'm not too surprised with the Ethereum ETF getting preliminary approval within the last few days, according to the SEC. So these are the hottest industries right now that move the most, that are taking advantage to this momentum to the upside. So this is what you've been waiting for this evening. I did a search here and I filtered it by the Russell 2000. And if I scroll over to the right, you can see that there are in order by VST. So all of the stocks from the Russell 2000, this is them in order here. The top of the list, we've got Axos Financial, Bancorp, Tudor, Fabrinet. Now, I find it very ironic if I go over to the Viewers tab. Do you see some overlap? We've got Axos Financial, Bancorp, Fabrinet, Tudor, all at the top of the list here. We're seeing the money go to the Russell 2000. Now, as always, I always try to put you on the right side of the market, really try to explain where I'm coming from and the logic behind my thinking. Now, if you found tonight's video informative and you think this information you can make some money off of, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel so that way I can keep updating you going forward. Have a good night.